the famous kidney grills, the aggressive low front spoiler. You've got these gills over here, you've got air scoops over here. M treatment, of course, on the bodywork. It's the 1 Series body. It's fairly familiar. LED headlights on the car, of course. You've got beautiful 19-inch mags over here. The body kit continues. Standard 1 Series body, as I mentioned. But notice it's a little bit lower, a little bit meaner, and a little bit more aggressive. You come around to the back, of course, you've got your rear hatch, which gives you a nice boot space. You've got a dummy floor over there, so the boot space is pretty good. You've got this rear seat split into 3 over there, in fact, with a middle section as well. You can fold down, all very standard, of course, for hatchbacks these days. Press button to close boot, and you see 2 badges that make all the difference. M135i on that side, and on this side it tells you xDrive, BMW's all-wheel drive system. Diffuser over here at the back, 2 seriously large bore mean exhausts on the sides over there tell you what this car is really about. 135i in modern talk means not the straight 6 like you used to get in BMWs. It's the 4-cylinder 2-liter turbo, but it's cranked up to 225 kilowatts and 450 newton meters of torque, put down to all 4 wheels with xDrive. This is a mean hot hatch of note. Let's check it out inside. We're also going to check it on the road. On the road, the one thing about this car that I call a negative or criticism, with the low profile tires, the big wheels, the harder suspension, obviously for the performance, it is a little bit of a hard ride, and I'd even call it a slightly jittery ride at times when you are cruising around. This car's built for taking a mountain pass, for taking a high-speed cruise. It's not necessarily totally suited to commuting around town. And if this was me personally, I just feel it's that little bit more than I would want as my everyday car. I want one for a Sunday blast. I don't know if I'd want to have to go to work every day in this car. But the response, just feel this, I'll put my foot down slightly now. And you feel that instant, unbelievable response. That's of course the turbo kicking in, and I think you get the idea of exactly what this car is capable of, because it is capable of tremendous performance. But it's got all the creature comforts, but as I said, I just find that ride that tiny bit harder than I would want as my everyday drive. But that doesn't mean you don't want one like this, because the performance makes up for it in absolute bucketfuls. Moving inside the car, I'm not going to spend much time because the instrumentation, the dash, the interior generally, I've commented before, BMW is very generic in that sense. That's not a complaint, because it's such a good interior, it's such a good instrumentation, dash, everything else. But you'll see it is generic, so I'm not going to point out too many details. But look over here, we've done 368 kilometers on this test so far. And when I press this button, I'll go through a few scrolls over here. Unfortunately, it takes a few seconds. And there's what I want to show you. We've averaged 8 liters per 100 kilometers. Now, that's been an open road blast, and I use the word blast very carefully, and a bit of commuting duty as well. So I think that's a very representative figure of what a lot of owners can expect from the car. The steering, the multifunction steering, all standard. All very standard. You come across to the center screen. Yet again, I'm not going to show you all the functions on there because, again, it's standard. But what, of course, you've got to look at on the car is you come down to the center over here. Very neat spot over here for your cell phone, which has got conductive charging over there if you want to use it. That's useful. Down to, of course, the 8-speed automatic transmission from BMW. So 8-speed auto, great automatic gearbox. You know it well. And of course, I mentioned putting the power down to all four wheels to give you incredible road holding, incredible handling. You've got your engine stop-start button over there. That's obviously very, very standard. And of course, over here, this is what really counts. You've got your adaptive transmission over here, and if you press the sport button and you have a look on the screen over there, you'll see you can go into standard, individual, or configure your individual, and you can do everything you want. For example, press the button, go there. You can change, look at that, your steering. It's on comfort at the moment, the engine in sport, the transmission in sport. You can see exactly how it all works. It's really pretty exciting stuff, and you can adjust a lot of settings that way, and that's where you can play with the car a lot using the traditional standard BMW scroller. Again, it's very familiar, very typical of BMW. You look around on the interior of this car, you can see we've got really, really comfortable sport seats. Color choice is, I think, very personal and very standard. You're either going to love it or you're not. That's something you've got to decide. Something I do like on this particular car is the fact that both driver and passenger do have electric adjustment on their seats. Good stuff. So often I find that on many of these cars, you get electric adjustment on the driver's seat, but not for the passenger. You've got the dual panoramic roof over here with a front section that opens. Again, you either want that or you don't. Upgraded Harman Kardon sound system in this car. So lots of upgrades, lots of extras, because that is, of course, the way BMW and all their competitors do work when it comes to cars like these. But this car is about the performance. At the moment, this is the top model in the 1 Series range. So let's talk that. And in talking that, let's look at a little bit of history here. The hot hatch. The hot hatch came into existence in the late 70s, early 80s with the original Golf GTi, and then Opel came along with the Boss and Super Boss. That market has grown and grown and leaps and bounds, and this car fits very, very squarely into the hot hatch category now. 225 kilowatts, 450 newton meters of torque. Where does that come in the pecking order? Well, interesting, Mercedes have the A35, 225 kilowatts, 400 newton meters. Audi have the S3, 228 kilowatts, 400 newton meters. Then you've got the Golf R, 228 kilowatts as well, 420 newton meters. I think you can see where I'm going with this. You do get the couple of what I'm now going to call the super hatches, not hot hatches. That is the Merc A45, and of course the Audi RS3 when it comes back, and you'll get, if they did an M1 version like the M2, that would fit into that category, which is yet another leap upwards. But hot hatches, yes, I mentioned, of course, the Merc and the BMW and the Audi. Well, you also do get the Renault Megane RS, you get the Honda Civic Type R. I think you can see where I'm going over there, the Hyundai i30N. Those are all 200 to 225 kilowatt, and that's the market this one sits in. What this one does have that some do, a lot don't, is the all-wheel drive. And that gives you sure-footedness like you cannot believe. I took this car for a very early morning little blast through to Hartbeespoort, through that twisty little pass. Unbelievable. Pushed it at higher speeds than most cars I've taken through there with that sure-footed all-wheel drive handling, yet again, that I have to mention. So what's going to cost you to get into one of these? Isn't that what you really want to know? Well, 773,000 Rand is the base price for a i35, M135i, apologies, the M135i. But as is typical with all its competitors, you've got to look at that box, the boxes you tick for extras, because you could end up spending a lot more money. But the basic recipe, you can't change. The engine, the gearbox, the all-wheel drive, those are there, those come at that price, and that's what's going to make this car very, very special. You obviously get your 5-year, 100,000 kilometer motor plan included in the price as well. Overall, great little car, lovely test, really enjoyed, and very, very competitive in the category, as I think I've taken pains to explain to you. If you're looking for a hot hatch, check this one out. You'll have a lot of fun. For Motor Matters, I'm Eleanor. I'll see you next time.